Chapter 5's Fortnite promised a fresh start. New map, new weapons, and a lot of hype. But for many players, it quickly became a season filled with frustration. So today, we're breaking down exactly what went wrong, from bullet travel issues to weapon balance problems, and why some of these changes really hurt the core of Fortnite's experience. One of the biggest complaints in Chapter 5 was bullet travel. For years, Fortnite's combat felt tight, with predictable hit registration. But in Chapter 5, Epic introduced slower bullet travel with bullet drop, inconsistent hitboxes, and weird recoil patterns. Now, this might sound like a small change, but it completely altered mid-range fights. Weapons that used to feel reliable suddenly felt inconsistent. AR fights became more RNG-based, and players who relied on precise aim found themselves losing fights that would normally win. It wasn't just ARs, shotguns and SMGs were also affected. Damage consistency fell off, making fights feel less skill-based and more about luck, which frustrated both casual and competitive players. Chapter 5 had a lot of experimental weapons, but balance was a serious problem. A few weapons were overpowered, like the Gatekeeper and Frenzy Auto, while other classics, like the Thunderburst and Striker AR, felt weaker due to nerfs. This meta shifted in a weird way. Aggressive play was punished because bullet inconsistency. Trades risky, meanwhile mobility weapons and gimmicky items dominated the meta. Players felt like skillful building and precise aim weren't being rewarded anymore. The new map had some cool ideas, but many POIs were either too open or poorly balanced for fights. Loot distribution was inconsistent. Some areas had insane drops, others had nothing. This created a huge gap between early game advantage and late game potential. Additionally, rotations were difficult in some zones. Natural cover was scarce in a few key areas, making in-game fights frustrating rather than strategic. Many players felt like luck played a bigger role than planning or skill. Chapter 5 also leaned heavily into mobility, with hover jets, grapple blade, etc. While they looked fun, they actually distributed traditional build fights. High-level players who thrived on positioning and building advantage felt like their skills weren't as important. Mobility was fun for casual clips, sure, but in competitive matches, it made fights chaotic in ways that weren't necessarily fun or fair. Because of all these changes, competitive Fortnite took a hit. Players reported more frustrating in-game fights, and ranked matches felt less consistent. Pro players had to adjust to a new mechanic that didn't always make sense, and many complained that skill expression was diluted. Even tournaments had moments where fights felt decided by bullet quirks, rather than building or aim, which is not what competitive Fortnite has always been about. This community reaction was mixed at best. Streamers and content creators were vocal about their frustrations with Chapter 5. Bullet inconsistencies, meta shifts, and mobility spam became running jokes, and not in a good way. Many longtime players felt alienated, and it sparked a wider debate. Is Fortnite moving away from skill-based gameplay towards flashy, chaotic mechanics that look cool on clips but don't reward precision? So let's summarize pros and cons. The pros: fresh map and POIs, experimental weapons that were fun at first, mobility mechanics were visually interesting. The cons: bullet travel and hit registration felt inconsistent. Weapon balance problems hurt skill expression. Map design had uneven loot and rotation. Mobility disrupted traditional build fights. Competitive gameplay felt less rewarding. For many, these cons outweighed the pros. Chapter 5 didn't ruin Fortnite completely, but it highlighted a shift in priorities that frustrated longtime players. So that's the downfall of Chapter 5 hype. But gameplay problems like bullet travel, weapon balance, and mobility changes left a lot of players disappointed. It's a reminder that Fortnite's core appeal, skillful building, precise aim, and strategic play needs to stay intact, no matter how flashy the new mechanics are. So what did you think? Was Chapter 5 fun, or did it actually damage the game? Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you on the next one.